It's my pleasure to introduce today a digital visibility strategist, Kara Gamber. Apologies, Kara. Kara has more than 25 years of experience in design, branding, and digital marketing, helping entrepreneurs get noticed online, attract the right clients, and turn interest into action. She is a DMI certified digital marketing expert, an AMA professional certified marketer, and her company has been voted one of the best marketing firms in St. Louis 3 years running. Kara works with experts to clarify their message, strengthen their digital presence, and build the systems that support consistent growth. Today, Kara will share how hidden roadblocks in your messaging can keep prospects from understanding your value, connecting it to their needs, and taking the next step. Please help me welcome Kara Gamber.
How is that? All right, good. Am I standing in the spot? Yes? You guys look awesome. I love all of you. So proud to be here. What a great group of people. I just want to tell you all what a great group of people you are. You're amazing. This is a great community to be a part of, and I'm just so thankful. So what I want to talk today about is what is stopping clients from saying yes. What's causing the hesitation, right? So it might not necessarily be your offer, but it's a good possibility it's your message, right? There's too much friction in it. And we're going to look at that and kind of tear it apart a little bit. Last time I was here, a few months ago, well, I was here last week, or last month, but back when I spoke about what happens after the click, right? Someone fills out a form, they visit your website, they raise their hand, they're showing interest, correct? And that's what we all want. And then we talked about how do we turn that interest into opportunity? And we talked about speed. We got to respond quickly, right? These are all the practical things we need to do. While it's fresh, get on it. The next thing, we have to ask the right questions because we want to make sure we're working with the right person, right? And then third, a system. We need a place for those people to go into and work their way through. Who is here who remembers this? Right? Okay. But today I want to talk about something a little bit different. I want to go back in time and I want to talk about what happens before the referral, before the click, before the interest. It's basically the message. What happens? We have to make sure our message lands before that person is going to move forward to become an interest in the first place, right? And it's not that our offer's weak, it's not that they're even interested, but there are roadblocks that are stopping them from moving forward. All right, so how many have ever had this happen? You're explaining everything to somebody, and they're like, sounds interesting. They kind of move on. Anybody? Cool, yeah, bye-bye. The next is you're talking to them, and they even sound interested. You think that, they know my value. I mean, then nothing happens. And you realize, I never really let them know what I wanted them to do. The opportunity's gone. You kind of hit a roadblock. How many of you have ever talked to somebody about what you're doing, and they're like, the old deer in the headlights, right? They don't get it, right? So let's start unpacking what these roadblocks are. So there are 3 roadblocks. They're pretty simple too, if I can remember them. Just kidding. The first one is your message is just too broad, right? The second one is too complicated. And the third one it's too vague. And these are really simple because they mirror how your prospect processes the message, right? Too broad. They want to know, is this for me? Right? Too complicated. What's in it for me? Why should I care? Too vague. I'm kind of interested, but I don't know where to go from here. Right? So, let's see this. Okay. So, if they have any of these questions, what is going to happen? They're going to hesitate, they're going to pause, and you're going to lose the opportunity. All right. Roadblock 1, too broad. They basically can't see themselves in it. And you're going to start, we've talked about this already. Brian's talked about it, Karen's talked a little bit about it. This is just another angle of making sure that we are very clear about what we do. But this is what happens when we're trying to explain everything to them, when we're trying to be everything to them, when we're not being specific about who we are. And they can't see themselves in our message, right? They can't see themselves in what we're offering. Does that make sense? Okay. So why do you think we stay too broad? Why?
We don't want to leave anyone out.
Yeah, exactly. And this is actually pretty personal for me because it went beyond message and it was more fear. Fear of missing out on an opportunity, fear of leaving something on the table, right? Fear of, what happens if I do this? It was a fear-based thing. And I think that's a lot of why we do that, right, Brian?
Yep.
That's kind of what we came up with in here. It's fear. Here's the problem, though. I began thinking I had all these opportunities, but what they really were noise. They were a distraction, and they were chaos, and they kept me from seeing the right opportunities. And that's what will happen when you don't narrow your focus, when you're too broad, right? So, it's easy for a business owner to stay broad. It feels comfortable for a business owner, but it's very confusing for the client. Does that make sense? It's a pretty easy place to stay, but it doesn't help you move your client forward. I found these other two reasons why we stay broad, and one is simply uncertainty. We're not sure about who our best client might be, or who our audience is. We haven't done the research, we haven't looked at the numbers, we're just comfortable staying broad. We haven't really narrowed down our audience. So that's something that you have to do in order to narrow things. You have to become a little bit more comfortable in who you're serving. The next one, and we talked about it earlier, there's a confusion between services and positioning, right? Services are what you do, what you offer, and positioning is what you want to be remembered for, how you want people to understand your business. So let's say you sell lemonade, right? You got a lemonade stand. But you also sell, cookies, dog treats, stickers, and bracelets. So someone might come up to you and say, hey, what do you do? What do you do, Cynthia? I sell lemonade, stickers, cookies, bracelets, and dog treats, right? Or you could say, I help people cool off with the best lemonade on the block. That is what you want people to remember about you. That is what you want people to remember about you. So fear of a missed opportunity, uncertainty about who your audience is, and confusion about services and positioning. That is why we stay too broad. Roadblock 2, we're too complicated. People can't connect the dots, right? They understand pieces of what you do, parts of what you offer, but they really don't have a clear picture of what you offer, all right? It's too vague. They want to know, what's this? What's it for? Why should I care? But we're just too vague. Check something here. So, when we are too vague, when we are too complicated, the reason is basically we have too many words, right? We're offering too many services or bringing too many services up. And thirdly, we're using insider language. Does anybody know what that means?
Yes.
Yeah, stuff people just don't get. We're not being simple. We need to be really specific, really clear, and give them information that's going to move them forward, okay? They may understand parts of what we do, but it's really too hard for them to connect the dots. Roadblock 3, too vague, right? This is when your message kind of creates interest, but they're not sure what to do after that. How many of you have ever lost a client because of that? They show interest and then they're just out the door, right? That is when your message is too vague. So interest without direction leads to a dead end or a lost opportunity. So don't leave your prospects guessing. Keep it simple. Let them know the direction that they're supposed to go. So how do we remove these roadblocks? Right? We talked about the 3 roadblocks that are stopping clients, not even from saying no, but even just moving forward. So let's talk about this. So what I came up with is what I call a green light formula to kind of help us get through this. And this is basically answering or a solution to all those roadblocks that we have. So it's basically, I help audience solve this problem so they can have this outcome. So the audience is who it's for, the problem is what you solve for them, and the outcome is where you want them to go, the end result for them. So by talking about your audience and clarifying your audience, you're answering the question of, is it too broad? That's the solution for too broad. For too complicated, that really puts your value in plain language, and that fixes that roadblock. And thirdly, when you specify your outcome, that clarifies vague, and it gives them not only a solution, but how to get to that solution. So, here's the big idea. The goal isn't really to say more, it's to remove the friction. So when we're too broad, people can't connect to us. They can't relate to us. And when there's no relationship, there's no connection, there's no trust, people aren't going to buy from us, right? So we have to make sure that we're very, very specific. And then the next is that we need to make sure that we simplify, that we aren't too complicated, that we are very, very clear about what we're offering. And lastly, we want to make sure that we're pretty specific with what we're bringing to the table. And this is how we greenlight our messaging. We're very specific, we're very simple with it, and we give people an easy way to move forward and say yes. Any questions? You guys are a quiet group.
Doing good.
Yes, sir.
I found that people who are thinking broad in terms of like they don't want to leave anybody out of their business, so to speak. Even stay broad with like something as direct as like as green light messaging. You know what I mean?
Right.
How would you help somebody narrow down even beyond that? Does that make sense? Like, so you should, if you come up with something like, I help people find their passion in their life when they feel stuck, is so broad. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
How does that get narrower?
yeah.
Yeah, this is a really good example. I pulled this one up for Brian. If he-
Your lemonade example is amazing. You know, so I just wondered.
Let me see here, what did I do for you, Brian? Okay.
I asked that question because, like, if I'm, you know, like in a networking group with a bunch of, or for coaches,
Yeah,
and then they, you know, I'll give their elevator pitch,
the
my
paper
eyes just
that's
kind of
upside
glaze
down.
over.
sorry about that.
It's all kind of
Yeah. Okay, here it is. I was on that. Okay. So to answer that question, and that's a really good question because I've thought about that one before as well. So Brian has explained, I'm a business attorney, right? I help businesses buy and sell businesses, right? Is that pretty narrowed down? So there is another facet of Brian's business. He also works specifically with businesses and LLCs, all right? So that's a very specific role that he plays in his work. It's a very specific area in what he does. And it's okay to, depending upon your audience, explain it that way. So I have here, I help Missouri entrepreneurs form LLCs correctly so they can protect their business and avoid costly setup mistakes. Now that's very specific. It's not everything that he does, but say for instance, you're in a group of people who might be interested in LLCs. That might be the path to take. That might be the way that you would explain your business. Or maybe you have that particular landing page on your website that would explain that side as well. Does that kind of answer your question?
So you could plug that your formula into any stream.
Right, this is a starting
For
place.
Gotcha.
This is a starting place.
That does
Because we
answer my
do,
question. Thanks.
the issue isn't that we have multiple services, it's that we need one pathway to get us in, like she mentioned there. It's that one river, right? As an insurance person, we all need car insurance. Pretty much all of us have cars. We don't all have houses, right? Might have apartments, we might be living in the basement of our parents' house, whatever, but we all really need car insurance. So that is that in most insurance places sell. auto insurance. They get you in, right? Well, do you have a house? No, I rent. What? How about some renter's insurance? Okay. How about some life insurance? Right? How about a little health insurance? Maybe a little umbrella policy? Do you see how that works? That's that one path that gets them in, and it really depends on who you're speaking to, the audience that you're speaking to, and you can speak to different audiences depending upon maybe the places on your website or maybe a service area that you're offering. Nikki?
So let's say, speaking for a friend here, you're not clear. you know, and it was mentioned earlier, like you're not clear on who that audience is. It's like you're a startup, this is new, and you don't quite know. And I'll use my example. So my community, it's like I have like 5 members, right? And then as you guys were all sharing, I'm like, should I survey them in some way and like get that data to get their words of what the problem is and what they want and why they're here, or what would you suggest?
100%. A lot of times when I'm doing research about a brand, I want to know who are your current clients? What are they saying about you? I just worked with a window treatment expert, right? That I got all of her testimonials, all of her reviews from Houzz, from Google, whatever she provided for me, because she and I were kind of talking about the language, and what we need to do is we need to take the language of her people. How do her people see her? What do her people talk about her? What are they saying? What are their words? And then we kind of flip that over so that we can help them see themselves, right? Too broad, if they can't see themselves, they're gone. When they can see themselves, and by interviewing the clients, by looking at their testimonials, their reviews, all that, you learn their language. You can, if somebody does something similar to you, you can look at their reviews and see what their audience is saying about them. Maybe you're like, maybe I would be like, maybe I want to be like Russell Brunson. Okay, well, maybe I need to go look at his book and all the reviews that they say about him. What are the language that his people are using when they describe what he does for them? So that is one pillar of finding out how to narrow down what you do. Another one is, and I know I'm out of time, the last one is, who do you love working with? Because it's not necessarily about who can work with you or who wants to work with you, but who do you find joy working with? Because at the end of the day, they're going to see your value because you love working with them, they love working with you. If they don't see your value, it's a waste of your time and you're going to be miserable.